DC the beat man. DC the beat man.
So epic.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. And as you can see, we got my girl Naomi on the screen now. Naomi, how's everything with you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. I gotta say that is the cleanest background I have seen on the screen thus far outside of mine. Like that is smooth, bro. Like, hey, I might have
here. We're take care of some adult business here, and we're chilling in the free time while we're doing so.
I appreciate you for sharing a little time. I appreciate you. So look, VTech, because they were the number one seed, right? Or a number one seed, not the number one seed. They were the number two seed in the ACC. 31-5 record. Notre Dame was a 3 seed, even though they won the ACC. Questionable, but they ended up, losing to LSU by 7 points. Last time I checked, Iowa, they lost by 17, 14. Like it was a dog walk. So it might have been the championship game between VTech and LSU. What's your thoughts on VTech? Is that accurate to say or no?
So I don't know if my opinion would have a heavy weight. I didn't watch a lot of VTech season.
I'll say this: I didn't necessarily watch VTech either. I barely watched the Duke women. It was mainly Duke, UConn, South Carolina. Like those are the teams that I watched, and even then it was like occasionally because I fell off on college this year. When my boys is out of it, it's tough to really be engaged. I ain't gonna hold you, but like VTech did seem like they were starter reliant. Like they go about 6, 7 deep maybe, but I saw like a solid 6 players start play against LSU. So
once they got to the nitty-gritty games, they're big. Caitlin, whatever her last name is, and then their guard. I mean, they just didn't have a well-rounded team so everybody was contributing to a almost equal portion or somewhere where they could pick up slack if they were hurting. I think that worked so much in LSU's favor because they just had so much depth in comparison to the teams that ended up making it.
I think that definitely helped.
I thought it was a toss-up. I wasn't surprised that they lost. I don't feel like they probably hadn't seen anything like that as far as gameplay until they got to the Final Four. They play well, they play well. So shouts to them. But
I looked at the game against LSU. Like I said, that could have been the championship game. You lose by 7 points, so you can make a case for that. But I also think too, again, they look like they go 6 deep, and that 6th person didn't really get too much PT. And you got to really be hitting on all cylinders with your starting 5. And that game, they did not. I think if I forget the girl's name who didn't necessarily play up to par, quote unquote, but she only scored like 4 points. I think they might have gotten foul trouble. If that changes, maybe they beat LSU, so maybe they could have beaten Iowa. But you only have 4 players. We've seen teams get into foul trouble, trying to go at Caitlin Clark. So maybe that similar thing happened. It was interesting, long story short, but like with how Virginia Tech got into the Final Four and did kind of perform. So I mean, next year I might want to look at them a little bit more because I think they're returning a few players back. So I would like to think they can still build upon that and make something change.
What do you mean as far as that game could have been the championship?
So when I say that, Iowa versus LSU, right? It was a 17-point deficit.
Right.
Because LSU won the game, I'm looking at LSU versus Virginia Tech in comparison and saying, okay, maybe that was the championship deciding game. Because if Virginia Tech only lost by 7, maybe they can beat Iowa by like 10. Now I know you can't. I know you can't necessarily say, "Oh, that's exactly how it's going to go," because again,
Yeah.
you can get in foul trouble, and then that throws off your dynamic. But based on how that game appeared to have gone, maybe Virginia Tech had enough talent to get over the hump over the Caitlin Clark. As I
think Virginia Tech versus Iowa would have worked 1,000 times more in Iowa's favor. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think Caitlin didn't have the stamina to go against an LSU starting five and bench the way she would have needed to produce in order to win that game versus having to go through a Virginia Tech starting five and maybe a sixth player. You know, her starting five and her bench can contribute just enough for the game that she had versus Virginia Tech to have been a completely better championship. But their uphill climb and then having to face the likes of LSU as their final challenge, I just didn't see. I was going to be super surprised if she could have pulled something out to be able to get around that. They just had too many weapons versus, you know, probably an extremely fatigued Caitlin Clark and, you know, her couple assets that she has. And if she's not onto a good game, you know, it completely throws down the dynamic of her assets as well. Her big players, her perimeter shooters, any of that. If she's not having a good game, none of that can get started. So I was honestly surprised that LSU let them put up 80 points. You know, I kind of stopped. I kind of started falling asleep more and more every time I saw LSU pull away, and then I would kind of like.
I mean, if you have a decent enough cushion, I don't think it really matters how many points the other team is really putting up.
Right.
Personally, like I know if I'm throwing up, if I got a nice solid lead and we keep scoring and y'all keep scoring, I know you're not going to win then, so it doesn't matter, I guess. So now the team that I'm really curious about next season.
This is awesome. Thank you for having me. Always with it. Always about it. I hope people enjoy the conversation and have similar or maybe even opposing views. And I also hope that we didn't I didn't inherently or without knowing disrespect any player because, you know,
it is what it is.
As a fan.
It is what it is. If so, you know, that just means they got to change their opinion. It is what it is. They can treat it with a grain of salt.
I did not know you guys were still here. As you can see, we're at the back end of the show. No pun intended, but look, hope you all enjoyed it. And before you go, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the IG account, share the content to anybody who's anybody. And most importantly, leave your thoughts and comments below. But I gotta go back and play Buddy in 2K, so let me unmute him real quick. Excuse me. Hey, boss, I'm back. Nah, you better catch this word. You know we get buckets around here, kid.